Hi, welcome to episode 2 of Amanda and Zoe's Pooch-Tastic podcast. We have my special guest, Esme. She's the family dog. Zoe is my dog. Esme is the family dog. She's a 10-year-old Bichon Frise. Say hello, Esme. Isn't she cute? So today, we're actually going to be going over dog park etiquette again. It's kind of more of a part 2 type of thing. Mainly because I saw something yesterday at the dog park that was really disturbing for me. And, I really wanted to give some people advice on what not to do, and if God forbid, call animal cruelty if you see something like this happen. First things first is I don't care if a dog is barking at your dog or they get into like a minor scuffle. You have no business laying your hands on somebody else's dog. To make a long story short, yesterday there was a guy who probably was a few fries short of happy meal. Not to be mean or anything, but definitely didn't look like he was playing with a full deck, if you ask me. He slapped a dog, a small dog, maybe 28 pounds. This was a big burly guy, maybe, 6 feet tall. And he could have killed the dog. I mean, it wasn't just like a bat, it was a boom right across the dog's muzzle. And even Zoe thinks it's stupid. And, take a dog like Zoe, for example, that would really traumatize her. She's a rescue. She doesn't always like men, and she really doesn't like kids. She's afraid of them. And if somebody did that to her, she'd be traumatized. And I'd be furious, and I would drop kick them into Mordor to go visit Gollum and Sauron. But, joking aside, unless your dog is being viciously mauled by another dog, and I think that's rare. I mean, I'm sure it happens, and you should always be vigilant. But I mean, I think it's kind of rare for those things to happen. Again, they do happen. I've heard stories, but I don't think it's like an everyday occurrence. So, um, I really don't think you have any right to lay hands on a stranger's dog. I could see, understand, get body blocking and being like bad in a very strong tone of voice. All right, fine, whatever. But I cannot believe that somebody would be crazy enough to slap an innocent, defenseless animal and then try to start a fight with the dog's owner and, by calling them crazy, claiming that their dog, that person's dog, that guy's dog. Meanwhile, the dog didn't like dogs and was just following him around. It looked clearly uncomfortable. The dog actually bit the dog that was trying to play and was just like, running around barking, doing play bow. And it was just being a puppy. The dog was young. And, Zoe's done that plenty of times to dogs. And if the dog doesn't play, they'll ignore her. And eventually she gives up and she'll go find another playmate. But my point is, you should never lay a hand on a stranger's dog. That's a great way for you to get yourself slapped with an animal cruelty charge. Also, if your dog does not like puppies, doesn't really like other dogs, or just seems to be really uncomfortable and isn't really doing anything but follow you around, why are you at a dog park? Don't go. If your dog is like around other dogs like Esme, she's around other dogs. Like she's not the kind of dog like Zoe who will run around, who will wrestle with the other dogs, who'll play. You know, Esme would not enjoy a dog park, and she would, be snippy if another dog tried to play with her. She's just not that kind of dog. They two have two different personalities, which is why I do the responsible thing and leave her at home. And I know Zoe's chewing on the blanket. No, Zoe, we don't chew. Also, um, another thing is why do people bring in unneutered and unspayed dogs? That's an accident waiting to happen. I was talking to a woman at the dog park today. Her dog and my dog are buddies, and I had warned her about the guy who started the incident on Sunday. And she was like, "Oh, be careful, I'll keep my eye out." Not to, it's not to start drama, but it's just, just keep your eye on people. It's a kind of community thing. And I do think people, if they see this sort of thing happen, and if they see these kind of owners who are looking for a fight and who are trying to hurt animals and who are, saying to the owner, like, "Oh, you're lying, you're crazy," because the guy, going back to my original story, the guy was, calling the owner crazy, trying to blame it on the young woman. And, and I think thankfully most of the people at the dog park were like, okay, this guy is just crazy, ignore him and hopefully he won't come back. But, I do think people should be vigilant and kind of warn people not to start drama and not to start gossip, but just to be careful because you don't know. Something could just set the guy off. I mean, if he's going to get set off and hurt an animal, an innocent, defenseless animal, you know, you should probably tell your fellow dog park goers to be careful because you never know if he's going to flip out on your dog for whatever reason. And I also think it's a good thing to make a note of if somebody comes in with a neutered dog or a spayed animal, not so much because that should be mandatory, but some dogs don't like that, and it's always good to know who has that. But yeah, so anyway, to my addendum for dog park etiquette is never lay your hands on another person's dog. 2, if your dog is not happy with any and all dogs, like it doesn't like puppies, it doesn't like neutered males, it doesn't like neutered males, etc., 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 it has same-sex aggression, and which is typical of male Dobermans from what I've heard. Not all, but some, as an example. Or like Esme, I can't always predict how she's going to be around other dogs, so I leave her at home. And finally, if your dog is not spayed or neutered, it's probably a good idea for you not to go to the dog park because you don't know how the other dogs are going to react, and that could potentially be, a really nasty scuffle and a really nasty fight, and that's just not something you really want to risk, in my opinion. So anyway, please join me next week for episode 3 of Amanda and Zoe's Pooch-Tastic podcast. And you can find us on Facebook. If you go on Facebook and just look up Amanda and Zoe's Pooch-Tastic podcast, I'll include a link to it as well on the episode summary as well. Please like us. When I have a little more time this week, I'm going to update it about local pet adoption events, animals that are up for adoption. I follow a lot of local rescues in New York who always need animals for adoption, like Second Chance Rescue, Wanted, Louie's Legacy. They're all really good, so I'll like them and start sharing stuff like that. So viewers who watch this, let's say if you guys are interested in finding a dog, you can see the available dogs that are up for adoption, or if there's any information, like about that woman in Staten Island who abused the animals. If I hear of any updates about the trial or the case, I'll let you know. If I hear of anything about how Charlotte, the dog she abused, is doing, I'll share that, just, to keep everybody up to date. So anyway, I hope you guys have a good evening, and thank you for joining me and Esme and Zoe for Amanda and Zoe's Pooch-Tastic podcast. Have a great night. Bye.